Graham Stanton affirms, quote, "The Gospels, unlike most Greco-Roman writings, are anonymous. The familiar headings which give the name of an author, the Gospel according to, were not part of the original manuscripts, for they were added only early in the 2nd century." Let's think about this for a minute. This is not a Bible, and I don't want you to pretend that it is. But let's just take this book, and let's say that I came to you with this book, whatever it is, and I told you, you can trust your salvation to this book. When you die, you will either go to paradise or to the fire. But you can trust this book to guide your life so that you will be protected from the fire and you will be in paradise for all eternity. Don't worry, the fire will not touch you. And you ask me, okay, well, who wrote it? And I said, I don't know. I'm really not sure. And it doesn't say anywhere who wrote it. And every scholar ever analyzed it agrees that it is an anonymous book, but you can trust your salvation on it. Here, take it, and live your life according to it. Let's admit, what would most people do in that situation? Oh, you expect me to trust this book with my salvation, and we don't even know who wrote it? Ha ha! Very funny. We have to be serious about this matter. Religion is not a joking matter. If I brought you a book and told you to write a science project on this book, because everything in this book is correctly analyzed, every formula is perfect, every conclusion is precise, write a report and present it as a PhD thesis, it would never be accepted because we don't know the reference. We don't know the author. It would not be accepted as a book report in high school. It would not be accepted in grammar school because you're writing something completely unknown. The author could be somebody with a prejudice. He wants to project a certain thought. The author could be somebody who was untrained, was illiterate, was writing stories they heard from somebody else. We have no idea. And yet that is what we are told to do with the Bible. To trust our salvation to 4 Gospels, which were anonymous. We don't know who wrote them. We don't know precisely when they were written, and we don't know why they were written. And in addition, to trust 9 out of 27 books, which are now known to either be forged or highly suspect. Again, trust your salvation to it? I doubt it very much. But that's what we have. Let's remember, Mark was a secretary to Peter, Luke a companion to Paul. In Luke and Matthew, there are lists which enumerate the names of the disciples. Neither Mark nor Luke are on them, so they were not disciples. Even if they had authored the books, even if they had authored the Gospels, they were not disciples to begin with. Stanton poses an interesting question. Quote, "Was the eventual decision to accept Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John correct? Today it is generally agreed that neither Matthew nor John was written by an apostle, and Luke may not have been associates of the apostles." Who were they? Who were the authors? We don't know. Who were Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John anyway? Not apostles and not associates of the apostles. Professor Ehrman is even more direct in his analysis. Quote, "Critical scholars are fairly united today in thinking that Matthew did not write the first gospel, or John the fourth, that Peter did not write 2 Peter, and possibly not 1 Peter. No other book of the New Testament claims to be written by one of Jesus's earthly disciples. There are books by the apostle of Paul, of course. 13 go by his name in the New Testament, at least 7 of which are accepted by nearly all scholars as authentic. Read between the lines. He's saying 7 out of 13 are accepted as authentic. What does that mean about the other 6? 7 are accepted as authentic, 6, roughly half, are not. Again, we reach this point where I would like to continue, but we need to take a short break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Dr. Laurence Brown, speaking about the New Testament on interfaith issues. We will pick up where we left off. So why then do our Bibles attribute the Gospels to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Each person has to come up with their own answer to that, but the common conclusion is that they had to be attributed to somebody. Might as well attribute them to somebody who would lend some aura of respectability to the work. Origen, the 3rd century church father, was quoted as having written, "The differences among the manuscripts have become great, either through the negligence of some copyists or through the perverse audacity of others. They either neglect to check over what they have transcribed, or in the process of checking, they make additions or deletions as they please." And that is what we are left with in the New Testament today. When we look at the Bible and we look at Christianity, the outside observer has one question that they tend to ask before any other, and that is that if Christians believe that God is one, why do they also profess the Trinity? The knee-jerk answer is the first epistle of John 5, 7 through 8. This is where you find reference to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and these three are one. What's the problem with this? The problem with this is that the Johannine comma, this passage, is now well recognized as an interpolation, a misleading insertion. It is not to be found in the original scriptures. It is, according to the authorities, to be cast out, and so it has been. If you read more modern versions of the New Testament, the results of more scholarly analysis, such as the New International Version and the New Revised Standard Version, you find that this verse has been altered to reflect the true meaning, and this does not include the substantiation for the Trinity. There are other problems. There are many verses of the New Testament that are so uncertain that they are actually even left blank. If we read Acts 8:37, we have one problem. Acts 8:37. Look it up. Try to read it. You can't. You can't read it. Why? Because it's empty.